All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into The Well of Ascension,
Okay.
the second book in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people who loved The Final Empire,
Mm-hmm.
that first book, it was very action-packed, very heisty,
It was.
might be wondering, if they should even bother with this one.
Right.
And we're going to tell you right off the bat,
Yeah.
you should absolutely read it.
Definitely.
It is absolutely worth your time.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind of ride than the first book.
Yes. Very different.
This is more of a political thriller.
Yeah.
It's still epic fantasy, of course.
Of course.
But we get deeper into the magic system.
Yeah.
And deeper into the characters that we already know and love.
Yeah. This is definitely a book for the readers who really love those complex worlds that Sanderson builds and really love to follow those characters along as they have to make difficult choices.
Mm.
It's got kind of a Game of Thrones meets Mistborn vibe.
Oh, interesting.
But all with Sanderson's very clear prose and
Some incredible world building.
So we're not just getting a repeat of the first book.
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
The Well of Ascension takes place a year after the events of the Final Empire.
Okay.
So Elend and Vin are trying to build their new society, but they're immediately facing all these new threats.
Mike.
Well, they've got 3 armies that are all vying for control of Luthadel.
Hey.
They've got all these internal political struggles that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then this kind of looming threat of this force called the Deepness.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that mentioned in some reviews.
Yeah.
The deepness.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure what it is.
So imagine a force so ancient and powerful that the Lord Ruler's tyranny was actually the only thing holding it back.
Oh, wow.
So now that he's gone, it's kind of seeping into the world.
Oh.
And we see this in the epigraphs of the books,
Okay.
which are these firsthand accounts from people who are experiencing the deepness.
Oh, so it's like firsthand
Yes.
accounts of like it driving people mad or something. Yeah, exactly. Twisting their minds.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so everyone in the world is dealing with this.
Yeah.
But what about Vin and Elend? Are they getting any personal time amidst all this chaos?
They do. And that's really where Sanderson's writing shines in this book.
Okay.
I mean, he takes Vin, this incredible assassin who brought down an entire empire.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing.
She is, but he shows us the toll that that's taken on her.
Oh, right.
She's dealing with grief, imposter syndrome, the pressure of being the most powerful Mistborn alive.
Yeah, that's a lot to carry.
It is. And one reviewer, Melissa, even pointed out how this kind of mirrors the deepness itself.
Oh, interesting.
It's like this internal struggle against a force that wants to consume her.
Right, so it's like her own personal deepness almost.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just political maneuvering. We're getting some deep character dives, too.
Absolutely we are.
Good.
And, we see that with Elend, too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
So he's king now,
Right.
but he's really struggling to balance his idealism with the very real, harsh realities of ruling.
Right, because you can't always be idealistic.
Exactly. And he and Vin are constantly clashing in this book.
About what, like just politics or?
It's politics, but it's deeper than that.
Okay.
It's because they're both carrying these burdens that they don't fully understand.
Oh, so it's like a relationship drama, too.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, interesting. So it's not just will they, won't they? It's like, can their relationship even survive this?
Exactly.
The weight of an entire world.
Exactly. The stakes are very high.
Wow.
And then on top of all of that, you have the magic system.
Oh, yeah, because Sanderson loves his magic systems.
He does. And in this book, he introduces a new metal,
Oh,
Duralumin.
okay.
And it basically allows you to store speed like a battery.
Wait, so like Quicksilver from X-Men?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is, but there's a catch.
Oh.
It burns out really fast,
Okay.
which makes using it in fights incredibly risky.
Oh, so there's like consequences.
Yeah, big consequences.
Interesting. One reviewer even compared it to Attack on Titan.
Oh, wow.
That same kind of desperate struggle for survival.
Right?
So it really adds this whole new layer of strategy and tension to the fights.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sold on the magic. I'm sold on the character drama.
Yeah.
But, let's be honest.
Mhm.
Sometimes that second book in a series,
Yeah.
it can feel like filler.
Right.
Just kind of setting the stage for that big finale. Is that the
Yeah.
case here?
So it's true that the pacing is a bit different in this one.
Okay.
The Final Empire was all about that heist narrative, the constant action.
Right.
Whereas the Well of Ascension is much more about building that tension.
Okay.
It's like a slow burn thriller almost.
Thing.
But it's not filler.
Okay, good.
Every scene, every conversation is adding these layers of depth to the characters and to the world.
Okay.
It's like Sanderson is weaving a tapestry,
Yeah.
and each thread is adding to the overall picture.
So it's like those long panoramic shots in a movie.
Exactly. They establish the scope and the beauty of the world before everything kind of explodes.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Okay, so we're getting a really good sense of the world then in this book.
Yes, definitely.
All right, and it's not all doom and gloom, I hope.
It's not.
Okay, good.
Sanderson actually injects a lot more humor into this book
Really?
than he did in the first one,
Oh, that's interesting.
especially through characters like Breeze and Sazed.
Okay.
It's not slapstick humor or anything,
Right.
but it's those moments of levity that make the characters feel even more real, more relatable.
And we need that because things are getting pretty serious.
They are.
We're getting deeper character development, a more complex world, and even some laughs along the way.
Exactly.
It's great.
And remember those Kandra, those shape-shifting assassins?
Oh, yeah, they were awesome.
They were.
So cool.
Turns out loyalty is their biggest weakness.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, we find out that Orsir,
Vin's Kandra.
yes, Vin's Kandra from the first book has been replaced by an imposter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, that changes everything.
Yeah,
Now I got to go back and reread The Final Empire.
you do.
Okay, all right. I'm definitely intrigued.
Good.
But is it really as good as The Final Empire?
That's a tough question.
Because that book was incredible.
It was.
Like, I flew through it.
I hear you, but this one is different,
Okay.
but it's just as good in its own way.
Okay.
One reviewer, Jessica, said it felt more like classic Tolkien
Okay.
in its scope and its tone.
Interesting.
So there's this sense of epic destiny unfolding,
Mm-hmm.
but with a modern sensibility and a focus on those internal struggles of the characters.
So Tolkien, but with a modern twist and more focus on the character development.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm listening.
And let's not forget the Well of Ascension itself.
Oh, yeah. Correct.
This mysterious source of power that Vin is drawn to.
Okay.
It's shrouded in legend,
Hmm.
and as she gets closer to it, the stakes get even higher.
Okay, so we've got political intrigue. We've got a deepening magic system.
Yes.
A mysterious,
Yeah.
and these looming threats, both internal and external.
Yeah,
That's a lot to juggle.
it is.
Do you think Sanderson pulls it off?
Oh, he absolutely does.
Okay, good.
The Well of Ascension is masterfully crafted,
Okay.
with each element carefully woven into the narrative.
Okay.
It's like watching a master chef prepare this complex dish.
Right?
There are so many ingredients, but they all come together harmoniously in the end.
So it's not overwhelming.
Not at all.
Okay, good. Because I'll admit, sometimes I start these epic fantasies and I just get bogged down in the details.
I get it.
Yeah.
But Sanderson's prose is so clear even when he's describing those complex concepts or those crazy action sequences.
Yeah.
It's never a chore to read, even though it is a longer book.
That's good to know.
And remember, he's laying the groundwork for something truly epic.
Hmm.
This isn't just about winning a battle or stopping a villain.
Right.
This is about the very foundations of this world
Okay.
and how power, both magical and political, can corrupt even the best intentions.
Oh, that's interesting. It makes me think of Vin's struggle with the deepness.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier, it's like her own internal battle mirrors all those larger conflicts that are brewing.
Exactly. And that's what makes Sanderson's work so compelling. He connects the personal and the political,
Yeah.
showing how those individual choices can have these really far-reaching consequences.
That's a good point. And that actually reminds me, I saw in some reviews people were saying that the first half of the book felt slower,
Yeah.
but the payoff was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they meant by that?
Well, I think what they're referring to is all that character development and world building
Okay.
that takes place in those early chapters.
Right.
Sanderson really takes his time to delve into the characters' motivations, their fears, their hopes,
Yeah.
and that depth pays off big time when the action ramps up
Okay.
because we care about these characters.
Right.
So the stakes feel higher.
Mm-hmm.
The losses feel more profound, and the
Yeah.
victories feel so much more earned.
So it's about that emotional investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just the plot twist.
Exactly.
Sanderson gets it.
He does.
He understands that a truly captivating story is more than just the action and intrigue.
Yeah.
It's about characters that we can connect with.
Yeah.
Characters that feel real,
Mm-hmm.
make us laugh,
Make us cry.
make us cheer for them every step of the way.
Exactly.
Okay, you were so enthusiastic about this book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see why.
I love it.
It sounds like it's firing on all cylinders.
It is.
But I do have one lingering concern.
Okay.
You mentioned the Tolkien comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And you know I love Tolkien.
Yeah.
But his books can be, shall we say, leisurely paced.
Right.
Does the Well of Ascension ever feel like it's dragging its feet?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Sanderson's pacing is deliberate, but it's never slow.
Okay.
He keeps the story moving forward, even in those quieter moments of introspection.
Okay.
And he knows how to build tension, creating that sense of anticipation that keeps you hooked until the very last page.
So it's a page-turner, even with all the character development and world building.
It is.
Okay, that's impressive.
And the ending is a masterpiece.
Don't leave me hanging like that.
Sorry. But it really is. It doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow.
Okay.
It leaves you reeling, questioning everything you thought you knew, and just desperate to find out what happens next.
All right, now you're just being cruel.
I'm sorry, I get so excited talking about this book.
Yeah, I can tell.
But seriously, the ending is one of the most impactful and memorable I've ever read.
Oh, wow.
It's the kind of ending that stays with you long after you finish the book.
Okay.
Prompting you to reevaluate everything that came before.
All right, you sold me.
Good.
I'm adding the Well of Ascension to the top of my reading list.
Yes.
But for those listening who are still on the fence, what would you say to convince them this book is worth their time?
If you're looking for a fantasy novel that is more than just a mindless escape, a book that will challenge you intellectually and emotionally, then The Well of Ascension is for you.
Okay.
It's a story about power responsibility and the choices that we make in the face of just overwhelming adversity.
Wow.
And it's told with Sanderson's signature blend of action, intrigue, and heart.
Okay.
You will not be disappointed.
That's a compelling argument.
I hope so.
And you know what? I think it's time for us to shift gears and wrap up our deep dive into the Well of Ascension.
Okay.
But before we do, I know you have a final thought.
I do.
To leave our listeners with something to chew on.
Yeah.
As they embark on their own Mistborn journey.
So we've talked about Vin's internal struggles mirroring the larger threats to the world.
Right.
But what's fascinating is that the Well of Ascension itself isn't meant to be contained.
Okay.
It's meant to be released.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That goes against everything they've been fighting for.
Exactly.
Like the whole point was to contain it, wasn't
He throws everything into question. How will Vin and Elend deal with the consequences of her actions?
it?
What will it mean for the world they're trying to rebuild?
Right.
Sanderson leaves us with that lingering uncertainty,
Yeah.
and it's brilliant.
Okay, that's a serious cliffhanger.
It is.
Now I'm even more eager to read the next book.
I know, me too.
But it's not just about finding out what happens next, right?
No, it's not.
It's about grappling with these complex themes.
Yes.
The nature of power, the unintended consequences of good intentions,
Right.
the struggle against forces both internal and external.
Exactly.
So it's not just a fun fantasy adventure.
It's more than that.
It's making us think about real-world issues, too.
It is.
And that's what elevates the Well of Ascension.
Yeah.
Beyond just typical genre fare.
Absolutely.
It's a story that stays with you.
Yes.
Makes you question your own assumptions.
About heroism.
About leadership.
Yeah.
And the choices we make when the fate of the world hangs in the balance.
That's it. Well said.
Thank you. I think you've convinced everyone listening to add this book to their TBR pile.
I hope so.
It's a truly rewarding read,
It is.
even with those initial pacing concerns.
Yeah, some people had some doubts.
Yeah.
But trust me, the payoff is worth it.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Okay.
But don't worry, we'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of books.
Sounds good.
Until then, happy reading. Shift gears and
Yeah.
wrap up our deep dive
Okay.
into the Well of Ascension.
Sounds good.
But before we do that, I know you have a final thought
I do.
to leave our listeners with
Yeah.
something to chew on as they embark on their own
Yeah.
Mistborn journey.
So we've talked about Vin's internal struggle and how they kind of mirror these larger threats that are facing the world.
Right.
But one of the things that I think is so fascinating is that the Well of Ascension itself isn't meant to be contained.
Oh.
It's meant to be released.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That goes against everything they've been fighting for.
Does it?
I thought the whole point was to, like, keep it contained.
It really throws everything into question.
Right.
It makes you wonder, how are Vin and Elend going to deal with the consequences of her actions?
Yeah.
What's it going to mean for this world that they're trying to rebuild?
What is going to happen?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
Sanderson leaves us with this lingering uncertainty,
Yeah.
and it's just brilliant.
Okay, now that is a serious cliffhanger.
It is.
I am even more eager to read the next book now.
Me too.
But it's not just about finding out what happens next, is it?
No. saw it.
It's about grappling with these complex themes.
Exactly.
You know, like the nature of power,
Mm-hmm.
the unintended consequences of good intentions,
Yeah,
the struggle against forces both internal and external.
that's exactly it.
So it's not just a fun fantasy adventure.
No,
It's making us think about real-world issues.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's really what elevates The Well of Ascension,
Yeah.
beyond just typical genre fare. It's a story that stays with you long after you've finished reading it,
Yeah.
and it makes you question your own assumptions
About everything.
about heroism,
Yeah,
about leadership,
it really does.
and about the choices that we make
Mm-hmm.
when the fate of the world hangs in the balance.
It makes you think.
Well said.
Thank you.
I think you've convinced everyone listening
Good.
to add The Well of Ascension to their TBR pile.
I hope so.
It's a really rewarding read,
It is.
even with those initial pacing concerns.
Yeah, even though it starts off a little slow.
It's worth it.
It is.
The payoff is worth it.
It really is.
Trust me.
Absolutely.
And on that note,
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Okay.
But don't worry, we'll be back soon
Sounds good.
with another deep dive into the world of books.
Can't wait.
Until then, happy reading, everyone.